What's up, everybody? It's your boy Guapo. This is not your average Mark Wrestling podcast. Still recovering from what was a crazy night last night at BCW Separate Ways.
Shout out. Shout out.
Rocking the Ryan Justice shirt. Of course, we've got the one and only Little Guapo. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up? I agree with the Malia Renee in the chat, by the way. I am the best son y'all have.
For some reason, I've
obviously Baby Bruss is not here again. He died. That's just what happened. Life goes on.
He's right in the fact that Baby Bruss not here. He's rocking and rolling in Austin right now. Away on a school trip.
Excuses.
Doing Baby Bruss type of things. Before we get started tonight, want to thank Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for our intro music and outro music. The track's called Head Rush. The album is called Monsters, and it's just banger songs, the whole thing.
Banger musics.
So we want to
Just
thank
check it
them. We
out.
got a lot to talk about today. Last night, of course, was BCW Separate Ways. So, like I said, we're still recovering from that. We'll be talking about that here in a little bit, but I think we're going to start out getting into the week that was in wrestling. Before we do, just to make mention of what was said in the chat about Little Guapo being the best son we have. I feel like maybe, possibly, Malia's account may have been hijacked. Not 100% there.
No, she just thinks I'm the better son. I mean, it is what it is.
There's no Wi-Fi.
I don't know what you're talking about.
None.
Yeah, no. But
All right, let's
I'll hop
get
straight
into
in.
Raw.
Raw was pretty eventful. There was some banger matches. You had Gable and Cody Rhodes. I've heard things about them splitting up. You know, Alpha. They're already working on it. It's very apparent Alpha Academy is about to get split up, but having a more serious singles push for Gable. And I mean, it's just like it sucks he loses so much, but it's like, well, we need this person to have a good match. Let's put a Gable in there with him, and they tear the house down.
And the thing
It's
about that
awesome.
match is the technical aspects of that match were insane. Like that was a just classic get after it technical wrestling match. Like you used to see from, I know I'm going to say the name that shouldn't be said, but anytime Benoit got in the ring back in the Attitude Era, it was technical. It was actual wrestling moves. So it was a really good match. Of course, Cody Rhodes coming out on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Cody's not losing
No.
before Mania to anybody, that's for sure. Also thought it was hilarious. Cody helping Otis find Maxine Dupree or whatever her name is out in the stands.
So
I thought
if
that was
any of you didn't
hilarious.
see it, Cody throws Gable out of the ring, and Gable's looking around, telling Otis, "Come on!" And Otis is nowhere to be found. He's standing off to the side, looking out in the crowd, and Cody throws Gable back in the ring and goes over and stands beside him and just pointing like, "Yeah, she's right over there, right over there." And Otis is like, "Oh yeah, wait a minute, what are you doing here?" It was good. It was good.
Yeah, and then you had Gargano and Otis. Gargano getting like no crowd reaction really, which is sad because he had an amazing like elimination chamber. Everybody in that elimination chamber had an
absolutely.
amazing performance, but he just doesn't seem to be getting over on the day to day.
And it maybe
So I hope that changes
they
soon.
need to change up a little bit of his character play, but I mean,
get him the hell away from
please.
Dexter Loomis. Like I don't know why they're still doing all this. It's so stupid. But yeah, Dexter Loomis popped up, you know, in the Otis Gargano match and stole one of the models. What's his name? Mace.
That's right.
I think his name's Mace. Popped up and stole him. Gargano won that match. You had Elias and Bobby.
I was gonna say
Bobby won.
I was gonna say, gee, I wonder who won that match.
Yeah, and then Bray Wyatt came up on the Jumbotron with his whole
the Muscle Man dance.
Yeah, do you remember that episode? Yeah, do the Muscle Man dance, and I absolutely hate what they're doing with Bobby and
I
Bray, but
don't. I mean,
uh,
it's got to get better. Like they've got something in mind. They're just not getting there. It's there's got to be something they're planning on doing.
yeah, yeah. My big thing is not since the Wyatt family deal. Not a lot of people have come out looking good on the other side of the
That's
Bray
true.
Wyatt feud, and that's the only bad. Look at LA Knight is still having trouble getting any traction, and he's,
Yeah.
I mean, awesome. I love watching LA Knight. Yeah, let me talk to you.
Well, and I really
But
hope.
yeah,
I mean, going into Mania, they're going to have to do something. It can't be Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy and just the same old thing. Like, there's going to have to be a reveal, like either Uncle Howdy reveal or there's going to have to be some of the family revealed. Something's going to have to happen there going
yeah, and I could see it just being up until Mania being Howdy and uh Bray like on Bobby, and then like at Mania, you know, what's his name, Carmelo Hayes from NXT come up and help, and that kind of helps develop a hurt business.
in.
Then slowly after, because I don't see the hurt business getting involved right now just because of the Omos and Brock deal. I think they're gonna do that. It's gonna be one time, and then that's gonna be over with. And then after that, you can really start building, like putting the hurt
Yeah,
business
and
back together.
I think it's pretty obvious that's where they're going with it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand the Brock Lesnar almost thing. I really don't. I mean, I can describe it in two
Yeah,
words.
it
Vince McMahon. That's the best I could do.
Vince. Yeah, yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, it sounds like some serious Vince, but I mean, Brock and Bobby in a legit
Yeah,
finish would
absolutely.
be amazing. Like it has potential, but they kept kicking the can down the road, and now there's
Well,
no road left. I
and
mean,
there's a lot of people that
you've
are like,
uh,
really this again? Bobby and Brock,
yeah.
Bobby and Brock, Bobby and Brock, and I get that, but I don't think this is the move.
Well, they've only gone against each other. Like I was about to say, the elimination chamber would have been what the
Mhm.
fourth time they fought, but really the third like singles match between the two, because the third time technically was in the
So
Rumble.
looking over at the
But
chat, we've got Lady Guapo. I think she's got this whole Uncle Howdy thing figured out, talking about Bo leave it.
yeah, nah, there's no way it's not. I mean, if it is anybody besides Bo Dallas, I will like run down the street shirtless or something. I
Trust me when
mean,
I say none of y'all want to see
it's
that. Well, and the thing is,
but
and we'll talk about this a little more whenever we get into SmackDown, but there's a whole lot of people out in the social media world right now that are talking about how familiar the voice was on SmackDown. Sounded a whole lot like Bo Dallas, which I mean is
yeah,
basically confirmed already.
yep, yeah, 100%. I mean, he looks like him. Uh, Same like height and everything. I had some people saying it was like Edge on Facebook. I was like, you're dumb. Like, what do you? Yeah, and this was whenever Uncle
Right.
Hattie first started showing up. It's like, first off, Edge is like 6'6". This guy's nowhere near that. I mean,
I will
it
say
just made zero sense.
I will say I
Some of
did
the
hear
things people
I will say I
pull
did
out
hear
of
a
their
new
rear.
one today. Uh, Apparently on
Oh,
SmackDown there was a type of laugh that Uncle Howdy did that was very reminiscent of Jeff Hardy and his crazy character. Now,
oh no, no
it's
way.
not.
He's still under
Yeah, there's
AEW
no way it
contract.
is. But
No.
it was cool to hear something other than it's Edge, it's Bo Dallas. You know, there was at least a fresh take on it, even if
Yeah.
it was wrong.
Yeah. It's Bo Dallas. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
And
It's Bo
again,
Dallas.
talking about Lady Guapo,
But and
I think she's absolutely right in the chat saying, why would Edge even be a
you're
possibility?
telling me.
He's got enough going on with what he's got going on.
So
No, it's not Lita.
yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be later.
Wow.
But All right, so just going on with the night, you had Asuka and Carmella. They had a little match.
It was a
Asuka
good
made
match.
Carmella tap, and then she called. Yeah, it was decent. You know, I've been like kind of dogging on Carmella over the last since elimination before elimination chamber, but she's really
Yeah.
showing out a little bit. And then Asuka called out Bianca, and they did their thing, and then Carmella turned around and slept them both, and they didn't see it coming. So interesting to see. I mean, I'm sure that's just to kind of keep Carmella relevant until Mania. I don't think it's going to have any implications to
No, probably
Mania,
not.
but uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that is Bruss's girl. Really, it's Corey Graves' girl. We don't talk about Bruss on this podcast anymore.
Somebody is salty that his brother is not here. No, that really was a good match, though. I mean,
uh,
uh, since she's been back, they haven't done a whole lot with Mela. Just that wasn't, look at me. I'm, what is it, the Princess of Staten Island? Yeah, as far as the physicality
yeah,
of it, she
yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
really done much. But this was a good. I mean, it was a good match.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I liked it. Oscar looked strong. Carmella ended up
When does
looking pretty
Oscar not
strong
look
there at the
strong?
end. Oscar is 100% facts. You're right. She's 100% winning at Mania.
You're
If she
right.
doesn't, I'll run down the
Look, you
street
gotta quit.
shirtless.
You
Like,
gotta quit with that.
I mean, you,
You're gonna throw a swerve, and you're gonna spend like a week without a shirt on, and it's gonna be scary for everybody.
well, then you had Candice LeRae and Piper Niven. Um, again with LeRae, it's kind of just filler
I was just
match right
fixing to
now
say I don't want to
until
use the word
I
filler match, but
but yeah, it was Candice LeRae, wife of Johnny Gargano. Um, she won the match. They got this weird thing going on with Nikki Cross like stalking her, so we'll see where that goes. But as far as the match itself, I don't think any implications on storyline or anything like that. Um, then then Seth Rollins came out to be on Miz TV. Miz announced he is the guest host
which
of
is awesome.
WrestleMania.
Which is
So, yeah,
awesome.
that's it's awesome. Yeah. So then Seth Rollins came out and was like, "Hey, call your buddy Logan." Blah blah blah. Called him a kind of a
Hey, I
beehole,
will have you know that the
and
Miz is an A type of person.
or he's an a hole. No, no,
That was
no. He
such a
did not
good
like that.
spot, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Seth really wanted to get a hold of Logan. Miz wouldn't call Logan, so
Oh,
uh,
it was more
Seth took
than
it into
just
his own
that. The
hand.
Miz could have gone through this with no problems and not getting his face kicked off, but he had to insult the jacket.
Oh, true. You're right. Yeah, he did. He did insult the jacket. Yeah, but yeah. So he stomped him, and foam fell out. He face scanned on the Miz's face. FaceTimed Logan, and Logan said that he would be on Raw tomorrow. So we're gonna finally they get a little face to face confrontation. Um, the segment ended with Rollins using some explicit words. I believe he called him a female dog. If you catch my drift.
Now,
So
I've got to ask
that
regarding that because he wasn't the first one. That was used on there a couple of times during Raw, and they're getting a little loose with the language. Do you think we're finally going to see that move into TV 14 that's been teased?
yeah, I think so. I think it's slowly transitioning. I don't think it's going to be a full go until we figure out a
Right,
new
right.
TV deal for
And
sure.
maybe they're moving
Um,
towards a TV deal that allows such a thing.
exactly, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. They're just kind of slowly building towards it, so that way it's not a shock whenever the first TV 14 episode and somebody comes out just you know dropping bombs. They're like, what, what, what? covering kids' ears and whatnot. You know, it's kind of like, all right, you can see the slow
Right.
transition. Uh, and then the main event of the night was very
Very.
interesting. It was Becky Lynch and the one and only
Yep.
Amy
Amy
Dumas, right?
Dumas.
That's her name, her last name. Amy, yeah, yeah. Lita, also known as Lita, versus Damage Control for the tag titles, and it's a good match. Becky got or Bailey got involved, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. You
Trish
heard the
Stratus
giggle,
comes
and
out,
here she
and
comes.
yeah, yeah, Chick kicks the heck out of Bailey, and Becky Lynch and Lita walked out of there
That's right.
women
We have
tag team
new
champions.
women's Raw Women's Tag
And
Team Champions.
yeah,
Now,
it's exciting.
kind of a thing for you here that you
Lita,
might not know. This is the first women's tag championship to have a current roster, current generation wrestler tag teamed with a Hall of Famer. It's happened.
that's
It's
awesome.
happened three
I didn't know
times in
that.
the men's division. It's the first time to happen in the women's.
I'll say I saw also that um, every time Lita has main evented Raw,
Yeah,
she has won a title.
sounds right.
So anytime she has been on the main event of Raw, she has won a title. She's won the women's title twice, main eventing Raw, and then now the
Which
tag
is
team
awesome. I mean, who
championships.
doesn't love Lita?
So yeah, I'll say if there's a title match with Lita at that is main eventing Raw, you know what's happening
Well,
at this
and
point. You know,
for someone like me and even you that came up, with the Attitude Era, seeing Lita and Trish,
Lish.
that's what we're calling them now, Lish and Becky. Lita and Trish together. I mean, can you imagine how Becky's feeling right now? That is exactly.
That's awesome. And damage control too, like getting the yeah, they're the heels and we're supposed to hate them, but they getting the opportunity to work across from Trish,
All,
Lita, and Becky Lynch is like
I mean, look at the
who else
team.
gets
You've
to
got
do
two
that?
Hall of Famers and what can only be said is a future Hall of Famer.
Yep, yep. Uh, Now what I'm interested to see is if they go this route of three, three women tag team match, or if they do a Bailey versus Trish and then Damage Control going for their titles again. I don't know where that's going to go because they're not just going to cut. I seen a bunch of stuff saying Ronda and Baszler versus Lita
Man,
and Becky at Mania for the titles, but you can't just like nix this whole. I mean, you got 5 weeks left? You got 5 weeks to figure out what to do with Damage
now
Control at
what would
that
be
point.
interesting would be hashtag Lish versus or make it three-way. Make it Rousey and Baszler, Damage Control, and Trish and Beck or Lita and Becky.
Not a bad idea. Did not cross my mind. That would be pretty cool. And then Trish and Bailey
Uh-huh.
versus each other. I feel like that's
It's
going to be
got
a
to be.
singles match. I mean, I just yeah, I feel like even because they had what was it the very how was it the Bailey? It was last year sometime that Trish and Bailey had this little
Uh-huh.
standoff in the ring, right? And then it was yeah, because it was while Becky was hurt, and then Bianca and Alexa Bliss came out and was like, or no, it was Asuka and Alexa Bliss came out. But I think that it's going to be a singles match, and I think it's going to be a good singles match.
It will. I
So
mean, when have you ever known Trish Stratus or even Bailey for that matter to put on a bad match?
yeah, but the only thing is Bailey's got to stop losing. We would. Bailey, I think Bailey has to win that match to keep any momentum at all. To be considered a threat to anybody,
Well,
she has to win that match. She has lost a
and she
lot since
has, and
she's come
the
back.
implications of her winning that match against Trish. I mean, you've just beat a Hall of Famer, so I mean that elevates you. Just the win in itself elevates you to a different level.
Yep. And imagine if Damage Control takes the belts back at Mania. It's like then you've really, elevated Damage Control as an entire unit. Bailey got the win over Trish. Damage Control got their titles back from Lita and Becky, and then you can decide where to go from there. I hate that the women's tag team scene isn't very
True.
good right now. They need some more tag, because Damage Control is really good, but there's just, I love the Ronda
Oh
Baszler
yeah.
teaming. I think if they can, as long as they stay full time, as long as Ronda don't go MIA, I think that would be an awesome feud. But it's like during that time, y'all would, WWE needs to start building a couple more women's tag teams to kind of fill that void. The same problem we were kind of having with the men around this time last year. All you had last year, you had Usos, Street Profits, Alpha Academy,
That was it.
and the New Day. Yeah, that
And
was it.
just
Uh, the occasional
speaking
Viking
of
Raider.
uh, Street Profits, we kind of left that one out. Street Profits and Jimmy Uso
Oh yeah,
and Brother Solo. They had a match, if you want to call it that.
yeah. I thought it was silly. He just kind of squashed the Street Profits, made them look not very good, just to develop the Bloodline story, and I
And
didn't
that's the
like
match
that.
where we got
But
the
they gave
the other loose language. Tez was up on the ropes and said,
yeah.
"I'm the one, you female dog person."
Yeah. Well, uh, after the match, they start beating down the Profits, and Kevin Owens comes out and handles that
Expeditiously.
expeditiously.
I like it.
Yeah, Kevin Owens came out and took care of business. But all in all, Raw was pretty good. I loved the Cody Gable match. It was awesome. Oscar and Carmella wasn't bad. Um, anything else? I give it a solid like A
I,
minus.
I can agree
I
with that.
mean,
One of the
no,
things I did like about Raw was that they're getting to the point where instead of being on Raw and setting up for the next PLE, they're setting up for SmackDown. You had Cody after the match saying, Roman Reigns, we haven't been in the same ring since all of this started. Well, I hear you're going to be on SmackDown next week. That's awesome. So am I. Yeah,
and we'll get to
yeah,
that.
we're going to get to
That
that.
was pretty awesome.
But instead of building the PLEs, specifically the PLEs, they're building into their next show, and I like that. It keeps a lot of continuity.
Yeah, and not even even the people who are on SmackDown. It's not like, oh well, I'll see you at Mania. With Logan and Seth, I'll see you
Exactly.
on Raw next week. I mean, it's they're really taking it slow. They're not. Oh, except there's one more thing we forgot too. The Brock accepting almost this challenge. Brock is comedic gold on
Absolutely.
microphone right now. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. He is just being himself. It is really, really fun to watch. He had MVP terrified the entire time. He MVP didn't even come in the ring at first. He was like, so I'm not gonna come in there and you're not gonna
Yeah, no,
F5
you're
me
not
or
going to take me to
something.
Suplex City.
Nah. Yeah. It was like so he finally got in there and he sold it well. Brock loved it. They wanted to celebrate on a what's his
Yeah, White
stuff
Lightning,
called? White Lightning?
Mountain
Moonshine?
Brew.
Yeah. So he said he got the good stuff. So he gave MVP a good swig of his White Lightning, and MVP was not a fan.
So
That
much
is
so that he spit it
uh
right back in Brock's
they
face.
you heard the whole crowd. They had to cut the sound because the whole crowd, you effed up,
I mean,
you
they weren't
effed up.
wrong.
And yeah, no, I wouldn't have sat around and tried to apologize. If I accidentally spit in Bobby's
Yep, I'm
face,
outie.
I'm gone. Before he wipes his eyes, I'm running through the curtain. Like I'm on the phone with the Uber. Like we are like I'm out of there. You're not gonna see me again until Mania.
So I go with you on the A minus. It was a great show. It was really, really good.
I say without the Trish return, kind of is what elevated it above a B plus for me. There's two kind of like matches that I think kind of brought it down with the LeRae and uh, 3 matches really. The Gargano and Otis
Yeah,
match wasn't very good either, but the Trish return and uh, the Cody and Chad Gable match really elevated the pay per view for me, or Raw for
agreed.
me, not pay per view.
Right.
All right, so let's transition over to
Yep.
AEW, the Go Home show. I mean, it's going on
It is, in
right now,
fact,
ain't
and
it?
we'll get into those results next week over what happens in Revolution tonight. Really looking forward to see what goes on
Yep.
in that 60-minute Iron Man match. That's going to be a good one. Um, like you said, it is the go home show for Revolution. A lot of good matches in this one. We started off with Orange Cassidy, who we talked about last week, is a fighting champion. That's just all there is to it. And that didn't change
Yep.
this time. And he went against a guy, and that guy's name is Big Bill. And he's 7 foot tall. And yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of us know him as
Big
Big Cass,
Cass.
but and he had a really good match. And I don't want to say that he had a good match because Orange Cassidy put him over into a good match, but that's exactly what it was. They went through it and went through it and went through it. Big Bill getting the boots in, choke slamming him. I mean, it was a good match, but of course Orange Cassidy comes out on the other side of it just barely. But just barely counts. He comes out on the other side of it. I really liked watching this match just because it seemed like both of them putting each other over. So,
Mm. Uh, have you heard the
oh
crazy
no, lay it
conspiracy
on me.
theory for AEW? Um, that no one over 6'3" gets pushed. I don't know if you've noticed. I didn't notice it until I heard about it. I was like, all the big guys, they lose their
Yeah,
push. You look at Wardlow.
yeah,
Wardlow, big guy,
absolutely.
got his push, and then what happened? Fell off. I mean, all the big guys, they get a slight push and then just it's over.
All right. So after that, we get the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So this has been ongoing. Uh, I've got to look at it here because I don't remember all the names, but I know that this was like a conglomeration of,
Sammy
yes,
Guevara almost
he
died,
did more than almost died. So
literally. Yeah,
you've got
literally almost
Powerhouse
died.
Hobbs, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, uh, Takashita, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, AR Fox, and Commander. I mean, with that grouping, with that many big names in a match, it's a spot fest. Like, and that's
Yeah, AR Fox almost killed Sammy Guevara. Like literally, dude. Like it. I don't know if you remember or if you watched the spot, but dude
no,
almost
absolutely
broke his neck. Like it was bad.
no.
It was bad. I mean, that AR Fox should. I mean, it was an unnecessary spot. I mean, complete botch.
One of the
It was
biggest
not
spots
pretty.
from this match, though, that everybody's been talking about all week was Takashita starting in one corner, running the rope, and jumping off the other corner. That was
Yeah,
insane.
that was awesome.
It was such a good match.
See, the biggest spot I heard about, from that match all over Twitter, everything, was the refs holding the ladder for Powerhouse Hobbs as he
Yep.
unhooked the big old hook. Apparently, people were not a fan, and I know it happens all the time. You look at John Cena and Edge. There's photos of the refs holding the ladder for John Cena, but AEW could have done a little bit better job of camera placement, not just like showing the refs holding the rope, holding the whole ladder
Mm-hmm.
on both sides for him. But that was what I saw
See, I'm
everybody
trying to talk
complaining
about the
about.
positive things here. Positivity. That you know, I don't know if you've heard about this, but apparently Kofi Kingston is the newest member of the New Day to have a legitimate injury. So with that, trying to stick with the power of positivity.
Sorry. All right, I'm sorry.
No, it was a good match, and you know what? I'm happy to see Powerhouse Hobbs win a match like that, even if the refs were kind of holding the ladder. But
Let's see. Yeah, let's see if he gets his push
all right, from there
as
we moved into
deserved.
Peter Avalon and Chris Jericho. So going into Revolution, it's Jericho and Ricky Starks. They've been building this and building this and building this,
Yep.
and so a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks, I remember 1 or 2 weeks ago, Avalon just got completely killed by Jericho. Like it was
Yeah.
an ugly win. So this is a return match from that, and it's things like this I love to see because Chris Jericho, love him or hate him, he is the consummate professional. And so after completely squashing Peter Avalon, you get this return match, and all this match was to put over Avalon. Of course, Avalon didn't win. Jericho won this because it's Chris Jericho and we're going into a pay per view. But this match, the was bottom line. The reason for this match was to put Avalon over, and Jericho did a great job of it. He let this kid shine.
Yeah, good. And that's Jericho's done that his whole career. You get in the ring with Jericho, you're gonna come out looking better. I mean, he's that's probably his biggest talent. There's a reason I had him in
And
my top five. I mean, dude is the
one
consummate
of the things that
professional,
I
like
don't
you said.
understand about this Jericho Ricky Starks thing is why it's not bigger than it is. Ricky Starks is, I mean, he's
Yeah.
awesome. There's no question about that. And Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho. So the match going into Revolution isn't getting the push. I mean, it's getting the push, but it's not getting, I guess, not getting the heat that it should be getting, I think, given who's in it.
Yeah, and I hate, AEW is currently feeling the pain of all the signings they
Mm-hmm.
made last year in 2021 because now their
It
roster's
is.
just so bloated. I mean, this the Revolution card is huge. There's like 10 matches on
Yeah.
it, something like that. That's like and on 10 matches with a 60-minute Iron Man match. That's great. I mean, some of those
Yeah.
matches are going to be
Oh,
5
absolutely.
minutes, you
Some of
know?
those matches, when you have that many matches on a card like that, some of those matches are just to have those faces on that show. It's just, that's what it is. Whole
Yeah.
new meaning to their 5 minutes of fame.
Yes,
So after the
exactly.
match happens, Christian Cage comes out, cuts a promo with Renee, and uh, he says Jungle Boy Jack Perry is just not a champion. And if he wants to prove that he is, then why don't you fight me at Revolution? And it was really kind of weird because Perry answers with this video package that looks like something from The Undertaker. Like seriously, like
Yeah.
95, 96 Undertaker, the dead man. It was very odd.
Yeah, it was strange, but I mean, it what the match type is like. Didn't they make it like a almost like a buried alive match pretty
Kind of, I
much now
mean,
because
they
of
can't
that?
call it a
I
buried
think
alive
so.
match because,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
something
some kind of
like
stipulation like that.
it's got a name, but yeah,
So after that, we get into Hook and Matt Hardy, which this was a good match for the FTW Championship. Matt Hardy, I worry when I see Matt Hardy get in the ring because there's two different Matt Hardys. Once the bell rings, you've either got that Matt Hardy that goes in and has all these insane spots and a hell of a match, or you get the Matt Hardy that doesn't. And so starting this match, I was already concerned about that because Hook ain't no joke. He'll get out there and make it happen.
yeah,
It was a very back and forth match. We did get the Matt Hardy that gets out there and hits the spots. So I don't know if it's because it was the go home show, but Matt Hardy did well. Did get submitted though, which you don't, when you think Matt Hardy, you don't really uh, figure on that. But he did. Hook got the submission on Hardy to retain the FTW championship.
I saw something little about Matt Hardy today. It was talking about his
Mm-hmm.
leg drop that he does. Um, his lower back and his hip fused
Oof.
together from doing that so much. That's why, like, I don't know if you see, like, the way he kind of like runs awkwardly and all that.
Because of
It's
the hip.
because of that. I was like, man, I would, yeah, I never knew that.
So from that, we
But
went into a casino tag team battle royal, which there's so many names, so many tag teams in this, but turns out to be a great night for Orange Cassidy because when all the dust settles, smoke clears, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen were the winners. Okay, I don't
yep,
think enough gets said about
and
Danhausen. I really like this kid.
Yeah, and people clown on him. The both of them, they clown on both of them, and it's like, yeah, they got some interesting gimmicks, but they are really good in the ring, and
And
they're
the thing
over.
about it
They're
is, you
over.
either one of them, I'm going to go with Danhausen because I've already talked about Orange Cassidy some night. But you take Danhausen. If I say Danhausen, you've got a picture in your mind right now of what he looks like, the paint and the way he acts and everything. So people may not like him, they may clown him, but they know him. I mean, it comes back to the whole Jack
But
Sparrow moment.
yeah,
You're the worst pirate I've ever heard of, but you have heard of me. You know,
yeah. Did you hear about the Jericho
uh-uh.
cruise that they did? And Danhausen and
Oh
Jericho
yeah,
Hausen teamed
yeah.
up to win the Jericho
Jericho
Cruise tag
Hausen,
team
yes.
titles. Oh, I was dying.
Yeah, that
That was
brings us to the
hilarious.
end of the night, which is, of course, my favorite part. Brian Danielson, MJF. Danielson's out doing his promo, getting ready, and MJF's music hits. He comes out, puts a mic to his mouth, and Daniels just stops him. Just straight up says,
Hard
he
to
says,
do.
you know what?
Really hard to
Shut
do.
up. Just shut up. And starts just throwing everything down. I know what you're coming out here to say. You hate me because the people like me and you think they should be cheering for you. You hate me because the fans respect me and you think you should be getting that respect. You hate me because I have a wife and kids that love me. Which I mean that
Oui.
after last week and MJF talking about the fact that he and his fiance split up, which they did. I mean, there's truth to that. I mean, that was just kind of a deep cut. And at this point, understand MJF hasn't said a word. And Daniel starts going off on you haven't earned this. You don't have these things because you haven't earned them. You don't have, the respect because you haven't done anything to earn it yet. And just goes off on all the things that MJF hasn't done and ends it up with, at Revolution, you better bring everything you've got for a full 60 minutes because if you don't, you're going to get your head. Yeah, you're going to get your explicative
Beep.
head kicked off. And MJF turned around and walked out.
Yeah.
Like he shut him up.
It's it's hard to yeah, it's hard to shut MJF up. He did it. I mean, it is the go home promo was the that promo alone deserves an A plus
Yeah,
plus.
like I
Like it
don't think
was
there's enough pluses
fantastic.
to add to that. Of
Yeah.
course, a lot of the talk, going into this is, well, this is just chatter amongst fans, of course, but on the socials, they're saying that if Danielson wins this one, it's because, they're going to start phasing out MJF because he's talking about wanting a WWE contract for 2024 because he's free agent in 2024.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if they were gonna go that route, his contract was up. He wouldn't have re-signed. I mean, he could
True.
already be in WWE. WWE would have gave him a fat deal, you know. But he chose to re-sign
Yeah.
whenever Punk won the title, and uh, I think I don't think they're gonna phase out MJF yet. I mean, I do think we will eventually see
I do
MJF in
too.
WWE though. And on top of all the Kenny Omega
I don't know if Kenny
rumors.
makes the move. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to make the move to WWE just because. I mean, it's a cycle. You had WWE, whose roster was completely bloated. People weren't getting any match time, weren't getting any TV time, so they went to they went to AEW, who now has a
Okay.
bloated roster, who's going to move over to WWE. It's going to be the back and forth
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. I don't know. I think Kenny going to WWE would be a mistake on his part because he's not going to get used the way that
Well,
Cody's
and I
being
feel the
used.
same thing
You
goes for
know?
MJF because you move MJF over to WWE, say you put him on Raw, half of his character trait you can't use. Like half of his heel persona
Yeah.
is
Right.
cussing people out, and you can't use any of that. So if you don't have that, is it still MJF?
Yep. Yeah. At that point, he's uh, a heel Seth Rollins. I mean, Seth Rollins is like a I wouldn't say discount, but when it comes to what where MJF takes things. Seth Rollins is very similar, just a little more
Right. And
PG, I
I just
guess.
don't think you get the same
So
effect out of MJF if you slap a PG label on it.
yeah, no, and like Lady Guapo said, you can't. And Kenny, I think, is hard to utilize in WWE. He's a very spot kind of. I don't know. I think he's a very spot happy wrestler. He's not the most technical. He's not the most flashy. Well, I
Yes.
take that back. He is very flashy, but he's flashy. I mean, it's we're gonna lock up, and then I'm gonna do 3 flips and flip you over, and then you're gonna do 2 flips and kick me in the head and make me flip 3 times, and it's just like, what am I
Absolutely.
watching?
And like Lady Guapo said, they're not going to be able to utilize either one of them in the way they're utilized now, which is why they're so over the way they're being utilized now. So all in all,
Yep.
I was going to go B plus on this show until the end of it. Whenever we had the Brian Daniels and MJF thing, and that makes it. I moves it all the way up to an A for me. It was a really good go home
Yep.
show.
It was awesome. Yep, I agree. I agree. Well, transition over to SmackDown. Uh, Started off with about a 10-minute entrance from Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. It took forever for him to get to the ring. He gets down there. He wants I don't remember what city they were in, but he wanted them to acknowledge
That's the
him,
crowd
and
going. He did the thing. He did the
they
thing.
wouldn't. Yeah, yeah. So as soon as he's about to start talking, Cody's music hits. He comes out to the ring, kind of kind of calls Roman out for having his lackeys in the ring. He's like, unless you feel like you need them, to talk to me, then so kind of just challenging Roman's manhood. So Roman sends them out, sends the wise man Solo and Jimmy out, and then just lays the titles right in front of Cody. He says, "So what do you want to talk about?"
I love the fact that he stole his line.
That really made me laugh. Yeah, that really made me
It was
laugh.
good.
Goodness. But and then Cody kind of went into his spiel. I got to win the title. You had Paul Heyman come and say this, blah blah blah. Well, Roman goes into uh talking about Dusty. Say, not gonna say totally classy, not gonna say anything bad about Dusty because Dusty has done, tremendous things for Roman through his career. Well, I don't think at any point at all in this build up to Mania will you hear a bad thing about Dusty come
No,
out of Roman's mouth. I think he will refuse, even if it is like forced upon him, he will refuse it. But he did say, your dad talked to me about a lot of things, and you want to know what he said about you? And Cody paused, and Roman said nothing. He never
mm,
brought you up, never talked about you. And yeah, really, really sinking his claws in. He asked him, have you ever won one of these titles? Have you ever, even been in a match for one of these titles? Have you main evented WrestleMania? Well, I've done all those things. So if whatever your daddy didn't teach you, he taught me, and I'll teach you at WrestleMania. I
the
was like,
look on Cody's face right then.
you know, yeah, and then Cody kind of rebuttals like, man, you so Paul Heyman is just you sent Paul Heyman to not even to just tell me what you think. Like you're not even trying to hide it. Well, if that's the case, then I have to beat you because I have to, in order to not just be the son never talked about, in order to, bring honor to my family, basically. You got to bring honor to the family by winning the titles at WrestleMania. Said, may the better man win. They shook hands. Roman walked out and he I really loved the camera work there. He looked back at Cody and smiled. And when he turned back towards the ramp, his
Yep.
face got super serious because he couldn't get in Cody's head. That's what he's trying to
Speaking
do.
of
He
camera
couldn't
work,
do it. A lot of time left to
speaking of
do it,
camera work, just a
but
little offhand story to make you laugh. Lady Guapo says something in the chat about the neck tattoo being featured again. she brought that up while I was watching that. It's like I wonder if the camera is going to zoom in on that neck tattoo. Of course, Cody's looking this way. As soon as she says that, Cody turns his head like that, and bam, neck tattoo. He turns his head
Yeah.
and looks the other way and turns back. So I'm like,
Uh,
no neck tattoo, neck tattoo.
neck tattoo. And I agree with Lady Guapo wholeheartedly. Roman gains nothing from having the titles at this point. He's so, uh, except for that, the guy is correct. There will be a
At,
massive
at
downfall,
this point, it's
but Roman is so, yeah, incredibly over. He's not gaining anything from these titles that other people could. Um, I already said I think Cody's gonna. We've talked about this. I think Cody's gonna win, and Gunther's gonna be that guy to pull the
well.
title off
And
of
my
Cody.
question is, again, Lady Guapo is right. What is Roman gaining from this? So the question doesn't become does Roman lose the titles? It comes does he drop both titles to one person, or do they split the titles at that point?
Yeah, I do think they need to split the titles for sure. Um, how they do it, I couldn't tell you, but they need to do it, man. You know, even if I think it's a cheap kind of way, but Cody comes out and was like, "I just want this title. If I vacate this title," and
Yeah.
they have a tournament for it. I would accept that at this point. I mean, but so that goes down, and then Roman makes his way backstage. He's asking Jimmy, what's up with Jay? He says, Jimmy's like, Jay just needs more time. Moose, he's a hothead, give him more time. And, Roman was like, well, I'm running out of patience. And he's like, he'll come around. And Roman said, I'm not running out of patience with Jay. I'm running out of patience with you. So Jimmy's like, all right, let me go call him real quick. So he called him and came in, talked to Roman again, was like, he just needs more time. He's like, did he say that? Nah, he told me to leave him the hell alone. And he said that, you know, Jimmy needed to handle Sammy tonight because Solo and Sammy had a match. And, how they handle Sammy, Jay has till next week. Or, well, this was Jimmy had left. And if Jay doesn't show up next week and explain himself, Roman's going to take it out on Jimmy. He explained that to Paul Heyman.
Is
So I
he said
don't think I don't think he
he
legitimately
said
has
straight
any
up
animosity. But
if Jay's not back next week, I'm not going to blame Sammy for this anymore. I'm going to blame Jimmy.
um, yep, yep, yep,
Now,
yep.
before you go
So
any further with this,
uh,
you and I had a discussion. I guess it was maybe a month ago about
about
Rikishi, and now
Rikishi.
there's you told me there is no way you bring Rikishi back to this, and
Well,
now the rumor is that you bring Rikishi in to take
okay,
care of his kids.
yeah, okay. I agreed with that. I just meant there was no way Rikishi comes in and is like, Roman, stop what you're doing. Like, Rikishi is a peon compared to Roman at this point.
How
The only person who
dare?
can come in and be like, Roman, you need to stop. I mean, it's true. The only person who can come in and tell Roman, what it is The
And he
Rock.
can't do
That's
it.
the only person.
He's been away
Yeah,
way too
exactly.
long.
Yeah, so I agree with I think Rikishi in the same way we talked about how he's going to use Jimmy against Jay. I think he's going to use Rikishi against Jay. Rikishi's going to come out and rejoin our family. Quit this, and Roman's going to be like, well, are you going to rejoin? He's going to be like, no. He's just going to turn around and Superman punch
Yeah.
Rikishi or something.
Stink faces kids.
So
And you thought being grounded was better.
because yeah, no, oh no. But yeah, again, amazing storytelling with this whole bloodline angle. Um, I, I, I just don't know where they're gonna go with the tag titles right now. Is Jay gonna come around? What I don't know what's gonna happen. I really have no idea. There, I had an idea in my head of what was gonna happen, and they are not doing
No,
what
I
I thought
agree.
they
And
were gonna do.
Lady Guapo says, picture this: Rikishi comes in on the twins, Ray Ray comes in on Dom, pow pows all around. Daddy comes home.
Pow
Hashtag
pows
pow pows.
everywhere. Speaking of Dom and pow pows, um, Dom and Rhea Ripley backstage. Santos Escobar comes out and tells him, you're a brat. Your dad's amazing. Uh, I'm gonna talk to Pierce and get a match tonight with you. Show you what it is to be a true lucha. And then he calls Rhea Ripley
Not just
mommy and
calls her
walks
mommy,
away.
blows her a kiss.
Yes, yeah, blew her a kiss, and uh, that match that they had eventually, um,
Yeah.
it was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it was actually pretty good. I talked a lot of crap about Dom in the ring, uh, but they, I don't know if it was Dom's improving or if Santos Escobar just made him look really good, but Dom won the match. A little bit of an interference. That's always going to happen with the Judgment Day. You know it's coming. But Dom won the match. Uh, they started beating up on Santos, and Ray comes out. Looks like he's going to hit his kid. Doesn't do it again.
Well,
Again, does
Santos
not
comes
hit him.
out when
No,
whenever Santos comes
no
out, he
pow
brings
pows.
the mask that Ray gave. And yeah,
Yep. And,
and
and Dom tore it in
that
half.
seemed like a fairly big deal. But as now the owner of the mask of a wrestling champion legend from last night, I can understand the pain that Santos must have felt seeing that mask get ripped up.
Yeah, I mean, Dom's character work
It's gotten
has been
so much
fantastic
better.
over the last, since, yeah, since I just hate to hear him talk sometimes, but he's doing his job. I hate to hear him talk. I hate the guy as
You're
a
supposed
character,
to.
and I'm exactly like he's doing his job. When he comes out and he talks and is my mommy, like,
When
what
I
are you?
was
What are
in
you saying?
prison, do you know what we did?
Yeah. Oh, but
Was
all in all, it was good. You had Drew McIntyre challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental title, and Sheamus came
what are
out
you
and was
doing,
like,
fella?
"Come on, you know how important that is to me." Yeah, he's like, "You know how important that is to me. Why would you do it?" And Drew was like, "Well, if you want me to get real with you, you had two chances and you blew it. So, And then that led to LA Knight coming out. Rey Mysterio, was it Mysterio? And Karrion Cross.
Kofi came out.
And there was a big, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going down, and Karrion Cross ended up on top, at the end of it all. And this set up a fatal 5-way next week, and whoever wins goes on to face Gunther at WrestleMania. Gunther was also not very happy about not knowing who he was fighting. He told Adam Pearce that he was a terrible GM for not announcing his uh, opponent for WrestleMania yet. And then you had Bobby Lashley come out and say, well, Bray Wyatt, I'm here on SmackDown. What are you going to do? And then it gets dark, and Uncle Howdy's in the ring, and then Uncle Howdy gets a mean looking slam from Bobby. And then it gets dark, and Uncle Howdy's gone again. And then it does the whole Firefly fight. It's just very poor build so far. I think they still got a ways to go, but I just
Well,
do not like
Bobby
this
and
angle. I do not.
Bray and Uncle Howdy, all three, the thing's going like they don't know where it's going. It's just kind of there's kind of ad libbing week to week. Like they don't understand it either.
Yeah, it's they really missed out on that. I hate that they. Maybe this wouldn't feel so bad if they didn't just completely squander Brock and Bobby for this build. But maybe I would feel a little better about it. But that just sits bad in my heart. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Let's see what else happened.
That
That was it,
was the
wasn't it?
majority of it. I mean, you might talk about the solo Sammy match.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Forgot about that one. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. Sammy was doing his thing. It looked like, I mean,
Yeah.
he looked pretty strong against Solo, honestly. You know, but then Jimmy interfered a little. Solo, got him with the Samoan spike, took him down, and then they came in the ring, started beating him down, and Sammy ended up getting the upper hand and took them both out. Obviously, Jimmy did not handle Sammy, so Roman was not
See
very
what that
happy
looks
about
like next
that.
week.
And yeah, we're gonna see what happens there next week, But all in all, it was a pretty good show. The the matches were all good. Uh, that's what I love about SmackDown. I wish SmackDown was a 3 hour show because they always have all the matches are always really good. But then the Cody and
Fire.
Roman promo was just, and all the bloodline, yeah, all the bloodline work is always good. Um,
Lady
but
Guapo says Jimmy's going to get Pop House.
all in all, he is gonna get Pop House. It's not looking good for him, that's for sure. All Jimmy did is, try and do good for his cousin, and now his brother's finna get him beat up. Can't say I wouldn't do the same, but I'd let my brother get beat up, you know?
No, you wouldn't. So, all in all, what's your grade on SmackDown?
I give it an
Go with
A.
that.
It was good. Like I said, matches, promo work, Gunther, Gunther and or not Gunther, McIntyre and Sheamus's back and forth was really good. All in
Of
all, it
course,
was a pretty solid show.
that fight there in that match is where Kofi got hurt, and so we're wishing him the best,
Yeah.
of course. And what does that change in his number one contendership? His ability to get that number one contendership.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see. We're coming up on the year mark
Mm-hmm.
for Big E. I'm pretty
I'm
sure. So I'm excited to see how the year mark goes, and to hopefully see
I'm
Big E
calling it
back in the
now,
ring soon.
not in a physical sense, like there's not going to be any bumps or anything like that, but I'm calling a Big E return at Mania, even if it's just in a like a backstage interview or something. The Kofi and one of the or what was it last time? Hashtag backstage lady.
Yeah,
Kofi and hashtag backstage lady are talking, and Big E just
Yeah,
walks up because the pop from that is going to be outstanding.
yeah. I cannot wait for the pop like whenever something's going on and Big E runs out into. I think you should really save the pop for when he is cleared to return.
Makes
That's
sense.
what I think. I mean, because you are going to, whenever he comes out to do whatever he's got, probably Xavier Woods getting slapped on or something, and he comes out to save Xavier Woods. What I think would be awesome is you build Gunther up. Have Gunther win this championship. He gets into some beef. Imperium gets into some beef with the New Day. Imperium's beating up on the New Day. Bam! Big E comes out, immediate
Love
title
it.
contender. I mean, I think Big E and Gunther would be awesome fantasy booking, but gotta have good news
So
on the year.
normally this is a part where we would end our week in review, but last night, a lot of you were listening as we did it. We were live at the TMW Event Center doing kind of a commentary thing for BCW's Separate Ways, and man, what hard! It was such a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Uh,
Yep,
first match, Logan Knight was his debut match
yep, against Sean
for
Lau.
BCW. He ended up, yeah, Sean Lau. He ended up beating Sean Lau pretty clean, and then after the match, decided he wasn't done fighting and beat the snot out of him, and the ref reversed the decision, and Sean Lau won. You know, uh,
Not
Logan
at
was not
all.
happy about it. We'll get to that in a little bit. Um,
Wait,
Next match
yeah, you
was
had big.
one of the tag team. I'll let you go into
Well,
the
you
old
had
school
Big
tag
Mike
team
come out.
stuff.
He's the head honcho for BCW, and he explained that we're having an old school tag team tournament. So he laid down the rules. It's old school rules. You have to be holding the tag rope. You have to tag hand to hand. There's no hot tags. You can't just reach in, slap their back, and you're tagged in. It has to be hand-to-hand tag. Only one person from each team in the ring, unless they're doing a breakup. Like if they go to break up a pin, they can do that one time. After that, they're disqualified.
Yeah,
You have
5 seconds to
seconds to
get
get
out.
out. If the ref counts 5 and you're not out, it's a DQ. And only the legal person can get the
Which,
pinfall or the submission. So it's old school rules. And I like the fact that they're moving towards that since, everything today is about hot tags and things like that. So you get,
yeah,
who was it? It was Chaos. Yeah.
Chaos
Chaos
Inc.
Inc.
and
and
Three
a
Ring
bunch of
Circus.
scary dudes. That's who was out there.
Yeah, that's the truth. Chaos Inc. Well, Three Ring Circus was in the driver's seat for a lot of it, and then Chaos Inc. managed to take control back, and they just got a
They
little.
hung Mr. Happy out to dry.
Um, maybe they forgot the rules. Yeah, maybe they forgot the rules. I don't know what they did, but they get in there and they start just beating up on Mr. Happy and uh, get disqualified for being in the ring together for
I
more
think
than
the
five
guy got it
seconds.
right in the chat saying ignored is more like it.
Yeah, facts. You're
So
right. You're right. You're right. They were not
after
happy,
that,
but
after
Three
that,
Ring
we had
Circus won.
my boy Emilio Guzman, your friendly neighborhood vato,
Good.
comes out. He had spoken with us. If you haven't seen him, man, he gives off an Eddie vibe. Just it is what it is. But he came
Yeah,
and talked to us before the show and again after the show and
and
said that
after.
this guy that he was going against Phoenix, who is massive, by the way, that's like his brother, but they've never had the opportunity to meet together in the ring one on one. And so this is the first time they're doing that. And it was a great match. It was.
It was. It was. And he told us the smarter
And
man's going to
Emilio
win.
pulls it out in the end.
Oh,
So the cool thing
yep,
about it
yep.
was
So
the respect
it was a
shown
good match.
afterwards. Emilio gets, the match is over. Emilio goes back in, shakes Phoenix's hands. They hug it out. I mean, the respect, you can see the respect in that match.
Yep, it was awesome. Uh, next match was TJ Slater and
Ooh, that
Justin Taylor,
match.
correct? Man, uh, TJ Slater, um, he is
Yes, he
a
is.
massive dude and should have probably won that match were it not for some ref interference. The ref, I totally agree with him. He had his hands on the ropes. The ref kicked his hands. He got rolled up, lost. But if he would have kicked the ref, he loses the match.
Well,
So
and he came and talked to us after the match as well, and he made mention of the fact that if he'd have touched the ref, then he'd have got he'd have got DQ'd. But we spoke to him, and we also spoke to the living proof himself, who had a valid point on that. Also, the ref told him to get his hands off the rope, so he let go and put his hands right back. I mean, he had his warning.
yeah, that's fair. But ref shouldn't, they shouldn't be involved in a match that way. I don't believe. I mean, if that's the case,
No,
disqualify.
I agree with you. And that
You know?
match, okay, I had not seen TJ Slater wrestle before this point. And when I say that this guy,
Very impressive.
he picked Justin Taylor up, he's got his head over here and picked him up like this, walked to all four sides of the ring, kind of showed off to the crowd, then turned around and flipped him over his head. I mean, yeah,
All the way across the ring too. It wasn't like he just like landed right here. No, he
it was
flung
insane.
him
And
across the
then
ring.
picks him up on his shoulders, and we're wondering, what kind of moves he going to do. Just start squatting him.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Taylor, his ability to get the crowd
Oh
behind
yeah,
him is amazing. I mean, his crowd interaction, it was awesome. It was awesome to see the crowd get into it the way they did. TJ Slater,
crowd was against
man,
him from the get go.
yeah, yeah. I think he got more heat than anybody, and all he did was walk out of the curtain. I mean, it was. I mean, the crowd was
I do
not
want to
feeling
say
TJ
this about
Slater,
Justin
but
Taylor. Came up and talked to us afterwards. Like the guy put it in the chat that we have that we recorded that particular interview. It's going to go up on YouTube soon. We'll have a link in all the socials. that is not the most humble guy I've ever talked to. This guy's had his spots in WWE. He's had 2 weeks ago had a match at AEW Dark, and he is still probably the most humble guy I've ever talked to.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed talking with him. We also had a recorded interview with Logan Knight that'll be going up on YouTube too
We'll
as
talk
well.
about that in a minute.
So we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. But next was the intermission. We had an intermission. Got a cool little shout out after the intermission. Everybody and got a couple follows from
that.
it. It was pretty cool. And then we started it off with the
Right.
bear hug
So
challenge.
you have Scar, and I don't remember his manager's name, but man, he was good. He was absolutely
awesome. He was awesome.
Played the crowd, played the ref. I mean, it was great. So Scar comes out, of course, to booze. Nobody likes Scar. The crowd's against him. And this man is big. Like R-Truth talking about Paul Heyman big. And so Dragonfly comes out, and he's the challenger. And the deal about this is it's not a match. It's a bear hug challenge. Scar says that there's not a person alive that can break his bear hug. And that is unfortunately still true to this day because
yeah, I would say he did not break his bear hug. No, he did not.
That's and once it was done, Big Mike comes out and says that he got a phone call, and on May the 6th, right there at the TMW Event Center for Head Games, there's a new opponent, a mystery opponent that won't be revealed till he walks through the curtain. So the only hint we got was it's Madness.
So y'all got any ideas? Let me know, because I got nothing. I don't know who it could be.
From that match,
then we go into the next tag team match.
You had
in this whole tournament.
The Resistance and the West Texas Kings. The Resistance, I mean, they're what do I say about the Resistance? They came out, of course, the crowd kind of with them.
Cowardly heels.
So the crowd wasn't much behind them. Of course, West Texas Kings come out to a pop, and they dominated the first half of that match. And it was kind of funny because you and I were discussing that fact, and I said something along the lines of it only takes one move about the time Mac the Franchise took a boot square to the head, and the tides turned in that match.
And then, yep, they never really got control back after that. Any chance they got kind of got squandered pretty quick. It all ended with a pretty awesome spot of Zayn getting tossed onto the apron, and the Franchise on the apron gave him almost looked like a Claymore kick.
Both of them down.
Yeah, both of them down. They went to go check on the Franchise, and he turned around, got hit with the finisher. 1, 2, 3.
Resistance.
It was over.
Moves on to face Three-Ring Circus.
Yep.
We'll see brand new belts that were introduced last night. They're cool looking belts too.
Mm-hmm. So, well, then we got into the Queen of Chaos and her mystery opponent. When I tell you,
nobody saw this coming. Aaron Ayers comes to the ring. Of course, she is the Queen of Chaos, so she's having everybody bow down. And the music hits, and everybody looks, and straight out of El Paso, Texas, She-Hulk shows up.
She was exactly that too. I mean, just she was like she could bench press me.
Like she was built like a truck, as the guy said in the chat. I mean, it was good. They got in there, and they wrapped up middle of the ring first thing, and She-Hulk just took control at that point. There were some pretty good shots from Aaron Ayers, but all in all, I'd have to say
quick roll up 1, 2, 3. I mean, that's all it took. It was a shock because
nobody really saw Aaron Ayers losing that, but you don't beat Aaron Ayers, and so she may have got the pin, but she got thrown right back into the ring by Chaos Inc.
And then they start beating up on her, and security tries to run in. They're kicking security off the apron. And then heard after this, I heard probably the loudest
Yep.
chair shot I've ever heard. I mean, it was the loudest pop. Go ahead,
So
tell them what happened.
there, you see somebody jump the barrier and slide into the ring with a chair. I look a little closer at it, and much to my surprise, it's Damien. Damien is making his bloodlust are making their return. And when they say that chair pop was loud, like it sounded like a shotgun went off.
It was big.
And he clears the ring,
Yeah.
makes the challenge, uh, makes sure they understand that bloodlust is back. And so again on May the 6th, it's Alton Black versus Damien right there in the middle of the ring, a grudge match. So that's going to be cool.
Yep.
That's going to be a
That's
great
gonna be
match.
awesome. Yep, it's gonna be an awesome match.
We get through all of that, and that
And
takes us to
then
our main event, the one
main
everybody's
event.
waiting for. You've got Ryan Justice, who is the double champ, OSW West Texas champ, along with Squared Circle Pro champ. And on the other side of that ring, you've got Wild Card, and he is your current BCW Texas champion. And at the end of this match, somebody's walking out with not just one belt, but two, because this is for the BCW Texas Championship and the OSW West Texas Championship. Now, the last time they met together, it went to a 20-minute draw. Nobody won. So they put it out there very clearly. Today, it's going to be without any kind of time limit. Somebody's winning today.
Well, Brian Justice went into this match hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bad shoulder. Wild card took advantage. I mean, he completely wore down the shoulder, and then any offense Ryan tried to get in afterwards, it was hindered by that shoulder. I mean, it was just getting. It was not good. You know, he couldn't get anything going. Well, wild card hit a pretty big move. Started to get the count, and the first match, made his debut. Logan Knight comes out, pulls that ref out of the ring because he still had a problem. The ref
Yep.
reversed his decision. He won the match, reversed it, made him lose. He was not happy about it, and so the match turns out as a DQ. No one
Well,
wins.
and Logan Knight
And
jumps in the ring and
I guess it
just
wouldn't have even
goes
been
to stomping both Wild Card and Ryan Justice, and
both.
I mean
Yep.
just obliterates them. And so Big Mike comes out. He was actually sitting up there with us when this happened, and he looks at us and says,
"Yep,
"Excuse me, just a minute." And when Big Mike stands up that quickly, something's fixing to go down. So he goes down and grabs a mic and says, "Logan, what are you doing? Why are you sticking your nose in this?" And Logan starts to say something, says, shut up. And so the match obviously can't go on because, Logan stomped everybody out. So he said, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Since you want to put your nose where it doesn't belong, May the 6th, our main event is going to be no disqualification, no time limit, and it's going to be Ryan Justice versus Wild Card versus Logan Knight. And that sets up the main event for May 6th at Head Games, and I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie.
I was, yeah, I was. So, I brought up the interview earlier. I was waiting all night for this main event. I was hyped for it, and then it ended that way, and I was not happy. Logan Knight was an asshole in my mind. I mean, I was ready to have some words with him. And he comes up, and he turns out to be the nicest guy. I'm like, well, I can't call you an asshole now. I mean, you completely
Well, and
squandered
that
everything
was
I
that was
had.
one of the cool things
But
about the character work from these guys at BCW is outstanding. I mean, I was the same way. I was like, Logan Knight, we're gonna get him up here because I got some things I'd like to say. And then dude was nice, dude was humble, just the nicest guy. And it's like, well, to see that stark contrast between the character and the person. I mean,
yeah, so y'all have to check out all the interviews on the YouTubes whenever they get up.
again, want to give a big
Uh,
go ahead.
if you haven't If you haven't already, some of the interviews are at the end of our stream. Go check out the stream and see what Emilio Guzman and TJ Slater had to
That's my
say.
boy.
Yeah,
Emilio's my boy. I like him.
And then
I just wanted
now what were
to
you
send
gonna
it
say?
out one more time and thank Mike and thank BCW for allowing us the opportunity to be there. And big thanks to all the wrestlers that came up and talked to us, and even to the ones that didn't. Thank you for a great show and allowing us to be a part of it.
Appreciate you guys. It was so much fun.
It was a
I
blast.
had so much fun. Yeah, it was exciting getting to. I think we met just about everybody for the most part. I mean, there was a couple guys we didn't get to meet, but all the wrestlers
Mhm.
were eager to come talk to us. It was a very welcoming environment, and I enjoyed it. Look forward to doing
Absolutely.
it again sometime.
Hopefully, we're going to be sitting up there on that same platform come May the 6th. So
We'll find out. We'll see. Maybe we'll be joined by Baby Bruss. Who knows? Maybe something else will be more
All right,
important.
so-
We'll figure it out.
now that you've said that, I do have to kind of throw it out there. There is a possibility that Bruss won't be joining us because May the 6th happened. May the 6th happens to be a state one-act play. So if they make it to that point, and we here at the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast wish the best of luck to Sundown and their one-act play troupe, then Bruss is going to be doing big things.
Yeah. Well, he makes the state.
Yeah, we may miss that one. But
We'll see. We'll find out. So all of this hinges on you, Baby Bruss.
It's been a hell of a week. Looking forward to next week. Of course, we'll have our recap, and we'll go over what happened at Revolution, AEW Revolution, how that went. And we're going to be talking about, we did greatest Monday Night Raw moments last week. We're going to do greatest SmackDown moments next week. So hit our socials. Awesome. You can find them all right here on the stream. Hit our socials. Let us know, what was your big moment from SmackDown? What's your favorite SmackDown moment? We'll talk about them in the podcast next week.
Yeah. I'll say appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who's stuck around this whole time. And again, if you haven't followed, give us a follow. We're almost to that 50 goal.
Thank you to Malia for the follow today.
Tell your friends about us. Yeah, thank you, Malia, for the follow.
I want to thank everybody from BCW, like I said, for having us out. I want to thank Ross and the boys from Labor 12 again for our music. Again, the track is called Head Rush. The album's called Monsters. Make sure you check it out on all your streaming platforms. Big thank you to the guy for making everything work. I did. Okay.
You beat me to it. Yeah. Yesterday and today. Thank you so much. The bodyguard too, for all his help yesterday.
Before we close out of here, I just want to say, we say thank you to the guy, and lots of people wonder about the guy. I'm going to throw it out there and let you know that this guy packed up his entire system, carried it to the TMW Event Center, set everything up, made it look completely seamless whenever we were doing our thing. And there's none of this without the guy. So make sure you give a shout out to the guy every chance you get, because he makes things happen. And as far as the bodyguard, he's he's the new guy in our group. He showed up yesterday, and we hope to see more of him.
Yeah, he protected my pizza. That's what he did. He didn't let nobody take my pizza.
All right. Wait for that to say something.
The bodyguard was a hunk of what? I mean, my bad. Oh, it's if. No, that says if, not of. My bad. No, but for real.
All right.
Thank you to Ben. Thank you to the guy. We'll be back next week talking about everything. Want to thank everybody that was here. People at BCW have found out why we are not your average marks. We hope to see you guys next week.
Ooh. See y'all next week. I'm gonna drink it all away and find my head rush.